This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the 3D Security and Training Academy studios.
Vlad, you may be able to take down a bear, but you're no match for a Mama Grizzly.
Part of an amazing new movie released from Sarah Pack. Governor Palin's Political Action Committee has unveiled a brand new film called Building America's Future. It's a star-studded documentary, and among those featured, Colonel Rob Maness of Louisiana. He is our guest today. We'll talk to Maness about the Palin film, the presidential race, his Gator Pack, and more. A couple of special happy birthdays from Governor Palin. The governor exposes yet another shocking move from the IRS and the radical Obama regime. A brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is on the way from Texas. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by 3D Security and Training Academy. Learn more at 3dsta.com. Well, we are very excited to be joined by a great friend of the program today, a 32-year veteran, Bronze Star recipient, and the founder of Gator Pack. He did a great job as a Mama Grizzly Radio contributor. He was endorsed by Governor Palin during his run for Senate in Louisiana. He is retired Colonel Rob Maness. Colonel Maness, welcome back to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back, Kevin.
Well, so great to have you, and thank you for all the work you've done on this program. You're contributing. You know, I almost wanted to say it's time to strap in with the Colonel, our old weekly plug that we had here on the program. You did such wonderful work there, and your run in Louisiana, which really captivated a lot of people, whether it be Tea Party folks or just common-sense conservatives across this country. And we know you're doing a lot of good things with Gator Pack, which we will get into, but really great to have you back here again. And I want to start first with Governor Sarah Palin. This past week, her Political Action Committee, Sarah Pack, released a new documentary, a new movie called Building America's Future, and really a little over 20 minutes, and highlights Governor Palin and her rise to national prominence, but also the power of the people, and Palin able to share that stage, you know, saying it's not just her. I mean, she is the catalyst there, but able to say, look at all these candidates that we've elected, and you see a lot of heavyweights in this video, those who are currently serving, whether it be Ted Cruz or Rand Paul, a lot of the presidential candidates, plus some of the newcomers like Joni Ernst, and so many just to name, and Congress and governors across this country. But what I really liked, and I wrote a Breitbart piece about this, you know, she didn't just look at the people who came out on top. She also highlighted a lot of the warriors like yourself, like our own Sarah Steelman of Mama Grizzly Radio, Karen Handel, T.W. Shannon. It isn't just about winning an election. We know how that stuff goes sometimes. It's about getting that message out and about continuing to get that message out. And I referred to you and Katrina Pearson and one of your Louisiana folks there, Zach Dasher, as rising stars. So first I wanted to just ask you, Colonel, what did you think of being included in the video? Because I got to tell you, a lot of people had a lot of things to say, but there's no doubt you and Palin with a gator doesn't get more exciting than that. That's the highlight clip to me.
I was proud to get the opportunity to be in the video. You know, as we were handling the gator, I had just moments before that said that there's an old saying that people in America can sleep at night because hard men stand by to do the right things to take care of them. And Sarah Palin, I counted among that as the toughest woman in America, and I'm proud that she's standing guard over us to make sure that we have a bright future in this country. And so it was a real honor to get the opportunity to do that.
Couple of things that stood out to me in the video. The overall message is that, yes, it's Governor Palin. Yes, it's yourself. Yes, it's a lot of these senators and governors and representatives, but it's really the people, too. It's that working together. You know, she really talks about the grassroots and how together we can get things done. I think that's important, especially when you look at a public right now that there's a lot of apathy or a lot of people who have given up hope, whether not just be in the job force, but certainly in the political realm. So do you think that's key for that message to come across, whether it be from a Palin or from someone like you, that, hey, we're in this together? And, as Palin has put it before, to paraphrase, you don't need a title to make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Part of leadership is having a positive vision of the future. And folks like Governor Palin, other folks like T.W. Shannon, Joni Ernst, Ben Sass, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, all of those folks that are involved, whether they're in office or out of office, they all have a consistency about them. And the number one thing they have is a positive vision of what America is going to look like. Because they're having an impact on that outlook, and they keep a positive outlook about it. And that gets people that have some apathy or maybe disappointed in a specific outcome of a race and those kind of things. It gives them the opportunity to look towards those leaders and have hope that there is a bright future ahead, and that it encourages them to keep working as hard as they can, whether their specific objective doesn't get met or not. And I think that's a key part of being an inspirational, visionary leader, and that's what we need in America today.
The Palin movie, highlights the power of Palin, the power of Sarah Pack, and we hear from people who have won. Ted Cruz said when people didn't know who Ted Cruz was that, the phone lit up like a Christmas tree after Palin jumped in and endorsed him. We've heard some similar stories. And, she, certainly all these people are Republicans, registered Republicans, but, she runs the gamut. I mean, if she thinks you're an incumbent who's doing a good job, she will stick with you. It's just that they're few and far between. It could be someone who's been in there for a while. It could be someone, out of nowhere. Or what I think she really likes to do and what I think our founders wanted, people from all different walks of life who are going to get in, do something, and get out. And, you see you, a colonel. You see Paul Gosar, a dentist. You see Ted Yoho, a veterinarian. I mean, we see doctors, ranchers, all of these different jobs in their private life, and then to come here into the public ring. So for someone who had the backing of a Sarah Palin and in a wild, crazy situation, the jungle primary and everything that went down in Louisiana that we certainly kept a watch on, what was it like having her on board, and how did that change things and maybe inspire you and those around you?
Well, it changed the dynamic of the entire race. I mean, we went from being the outsider who was kind of lagging behind and forgotten about by the media sometimes to being on the front burner, and having that momentum. As Ted said, the phones lit up, more money started coming in, but also more workers. We had volunteer workers all across the nation, either virtually through telephone or computer, or people actually coming into the state from other groups to help us once she got on board, because it gave us the attention that we needed. And it brought to the forefront of people's vision that we existed, and we had a good, tough race that we had an opportunity to win. And a lot of people jumped on board because of that.
Other than the Palin movie this past week, the other big news, of course, the presidential debate. Yes, already a presidential debate. Here we are, right, 2015, and we're looking at a 2016 race, but that is the way things are today. It's actually, a little later than it was the last presidential cycle, which is unbelievable, because it doesn't seem like, that 1992 or 1996 was that long ago when you started doing these things about a year later. But what did you take from that first debate, or I should say debates? We had the earlier one. A lot of the people involved have been endorsed in the past by Governor Palin for different positions. Do we learn anything from this? Too early to tell. What's your thoughts on this first presidential foray?
Well, I think we have the problem of a lifetime, and it's a good problem to have, that we have so much talent to choose from. It's going to be difficult, and the debates are important. For one, I'm glad they did two debates to get all the candidates involved, because folks like Carly Fiorina may not have ever been able to give a breakout performance like she did and get herself into the top, because she's never been in politics before. And I think she did a great job. I've seen her in person a few times before. I've always been impressed with her. I think her big challenge is going to be, talking about the policies that she's interested in to prove her conservatism and what her principles are, from a conservative perspective. Most of the grassroots are interested in that, but they're very impressed with her from what I've seen. Based on the debate, and then she came and gave a speech at the Red State Gathering over the weekend down in Atlanta that I was attending, and got just a great standing ovation. And then in the main event, I think it highlighted the experience levels of all of the candidates involved. I was very impressed with Senator Cruz's performance. He is really on his game. I think it brought out some of the personality differences, which is good. That's what those things are intended to do. Mr. Trump's a front runner, so he got some pretty tough questions, but they were good questions, and they should have been asked because he's got a varied and different background than what folks are used to seeing, and he's way out there in front. I think he adds a dynamic to the debate that's also important because he's bringing issues to the front to be talked about that have been bubbling and have very much concern from the grassroots level, but haven't been paid attention to by the so-called establishment Republican elite in Washington, and I think that he adds value to the race for that. I think Scott Walker did a good job. He and Ted Cruz are right there together, I think, in their performance, and I was very impressed with them. We've got some great candidates to pick from. In the first debate, I forgot to mention Governor Jindal. I think he was, if I was ranking him, I'd say Carly was number one, and he was number two out of that crowd. He's coming right up in the polls and starting to get a little bit of traction.
And I wonder sometimes, at least toward the end of these polls, how they did make the decision for the top 10. You wonder, was there some fuzzy math involved here? Or, as Governor Palin has said, polls are for cross-country skiers and strippers, because I tell you what, to have a Chris Christie up there instead of a Bobby Jindal or a Carly Fiorina is a little surprising to me. I mean, you talk to people and, and primary voters are Republicans. They're Republicans who are going to vote in a primary, and I've heard people who like Jindal. I've heard people who like Fiorina. I never hear, much about Christie. And then, of course, as someone put it the other day, Jeb Bush, he's the leading candidate that no one's voting for. So it's really interesting how you look at some of this. But I think you nailed it. And I like that you mentioned Jindal and Fiorina, because that's exactly what I was going to say to you. You see a guy like Christie there made to the top 10, whereas Fiorina and Jindal you would think would appeal more to a common sense primary voter.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that Governor Christie's got some great talent. I've heard him speak before. I just heard him yesterday. As a matter of fact, he came to Red State, which is not his crowd. So you got to give him credit for that. And Jeb Bush came too. I'd never seen Governor Bush in person, but some of what I had been anticipating actually was real. He sounds great. He delivers well, but his policies just aren't what the base of the party is really interested in, and what he wants to support, like Common Core and legalization, pathway to legalization for illegal immigrants. And the base just doesn't want to support that. They think it's wrong, that local control should have control over our education system for our kids. And the federal government should be out of it at this point. And they've been fighting hard over the last 7 years to get rid of it. And he comes in and says he still supports it. So he's got some big challenges there. And seems like a nice man, and is very sincere and believes in what he's saying, and is putting himself out there regardless of what people think about his policies. And that's okay. But he's going to have to learn how to present that in a way that gets people excited about it. Because if he can't pull that off, then he won't climb in the polls, no matter how much money he's got.